right. Welcome back to another Shifting Schools free webinar. I'm so excited to be here today, joined with my friend and colleague, Trisha Friedman. Trisha, it's always great to have you here. And I'm excited for today, as today we are going to be talking about the new free protocols that Trisha has created, new protocols for 2023. If you know anything about Shifting Schools, we love our protocols. So today we wanted to walk you through a couple of our favorites and get and just talk about some of the structures and that you can put in place around using these with your teaching teams. So that's what today's we're going to be focused on. Just real quick before we get started, a quick shout out to our sponsors, Mackin Maker and STEM Sports. If you've been listening to the podcast, we drop a new episode every Monday. We are in the middle of a STEM Maker Space mini series, and we're so excited that Mackin Maker and STEM Sports is a sponsor of that mini series. You actually get to hear from the CEO of STEM Sports and one of the professional development teachers over at Mackin Maker, more about their products as well with that mini series. So you can find a new episode of Shifting Schools every Monday, anywhere you can find podcasts. And Trisha and I have started another one called Off the Cuff that will drop every Thursday, where you basically get to just hear us rant. So again, thank you to Mackin Maker and STEM Sports for making this free webinar possible as we talk about protocols for 2023. Trisha, you've spent all of December putting together these protocols ready to launch 2023. Let's get started and let's talk about what is in store this year for these new protocols.
Great. So again, we want to remind folks, when you see the QR code, you can download this collection. It's 100% free. This has become something of an annual tradition. This is the third year we've put out a collection of Shifting Schools protocols. And this year, I would say the umbrella question was really looking at how we can shift towards a more compassionate collaboration. When we're working with teams, what is some scaffolding that we can provide that's really going to lend itself to connection and community? So for those of you that have been following these free flash webinars, you're going to notice our structure for today. We're getting playful, we're getting experimental this week, and we're going to try something new. Jeff and I are going to challenge ourselves to speak to one of the protocols each. The free guide has 5. And part of the reason we're doing this is, of course, we believe in playful challenges, but we also wanted to model for you what you might do with this free guide as a team, because we know that in teams, often our time is limited. So if you're thinking, great, I want to bring this free guide to my department team, to my grade level team, to my PLC, what might be a really powerful way to unpack it together? Here's our suggestion. Grab the guide, share it with folks, and challenge them in 90 seconds. Pick one protocol and speak to one of these 3 questions. Question number 1, when you're thinking about that protocol, what is one change you would make? Folks, please remember, these protocols are meant to be remixed, right? Change the language. Think about ways that you would maybe take an item off of the menu. It's yours to play with. Question number 2, what's a structure that you would implement alongside that protocol? The protocols in and of themselves don't do all of the heavy lifting. You have to think about the context in which you're introducing it, right? That's our art and craft as educators, as facilitators. Or question 3, what is one way to build in inclusion when you're using this protocol? So again, I would share the guide with my team in advance, maybe even give it to them a week in advance and say, we're each going to challenge ourselves to, within 90 seconds, speak to one protocol and one question. So Jeff, the challenge was my idea. That means I have to volunteer to go first. Can you put 90 seconds on the clock for me? I'm going to speak to a protocol, and go ahead and you can play the Oscar music and just, yank me off stage if I start to go over. I'm going to do my best. I'm going to try to actually speak to questions 2 and 3, the implementation of a structure and a way to build in inclusion. Jeff, I'm ready when you are.
All right, here we go. Here's the protocol for you to use. Trisha.
So this is the protocol entitled In This Moment I Might Need. This is all about helping students or helping our teammates self-advocate. So there's 3 sentence starters here. I'm gonna eat up some of my time being dangerous and read them out. The first is to better understand how others are accessing information about what is it that I need. Option 2, a different approach to supporting me when we fill in the blank. What do I need right now? Or option 3, time to reflect on the idea or question connected to fill in the blank. So, in terms of structure and implementation, I would make sure that maybe I'm introducing a unit to students. I'm going to give them some of the overview of the unit. Maybe I've even been really fun and I've created a video trailer for the unit. They watch that. I am going to give them this protocol at least 48 hours before I'm going to invite them to share. And I'm going to say, students, just use one of the sentence starters. You pick the one. That's going to be my structure. In terms of building in inclusion, instead of saying everybody's got to go around and share, I'm going to partner students up, give them the option to partner or share on your own. Share your response either in a sketch note, a video, a voice memo, an illustration. Lots of different ways for them to actually complete the prompt. Whew. Jeff, did I make it?
You had 2 seconds left. Nicely done.
Thank you very much.
Nicely done. Very cool. Yeah, such a great way to use this protocol. I mean, there's so many ways that you can set the structure up around the protocol. And one of the things I love about doing this free webinar is thinking about what structure can you set up around that protocol. There's all kinds of ways we can set up the structure. But to your point, if you just put this up on the screen and say, answer these 3 questions without a structure around it, we're not going to get the type of feedback or the type of deep thinking, metacognition that we are looking for around these structures. So I just really like going through this. So, all right, I guess it's my turn now. Again, if you want all of the new protocols, you can scan that QR code. If you're over on YouTube and watching on YouTube, there will be a link down in the description as well. Or if you're watching this on Twitter or LinkedIn or somewhere else, you can head over to YouTube and search for it, and you'll find the actual link over there. And of course, it'll be everywhere. Or go to shiftingschools.com under free PDFs. You'll see this one plus 60 others over there that you can download. So a lot of different places for you to get it if that QR code isn't working. I know sometimes it doesn't work on the screen. All right, so here we go. My 90 seconds. I am going to also be looking at number 2 and number 3. So what structure would I implement, and what is one way to build it? You got the clock ready for me?
I'm ready when you are, sir.
All right, here we go. So this protocol is all about fishing for fresh perspectives. And what I'm thinking about is I would use this as a 4th grade teacher. I would probably use this as a team meeting. And here's how I would structure it. So let's talk about the structure first. The way I would structure this is I would probably throw this protocol up on my overhead projector. And then I would give all of us, the whole team would be reading the same article. And we'd have quiet, maybe 20 minutes for everybody to dig into an article. Now, right now, what I'm thinking about, because it's really powerful, is Chat GPT. There's a lot of talk around how to use Chat GPT. So I might find an article on the internet. We're going to all read this together with this perspective up on the screen. After we get done reading it, we are then going to be looking at these questions through the lens of inclusion. If we're going to be using Chat GPT, or we know that students are, how might this tool help us be more inclusive in our classroom? What questions can we ask in order to disrupt the current flow of ideas? How does this tool maybe help us become a more inclusive classroom? What might be a current obstacle for voicing disagreements amongst us, amongst our school, amongst our team? How are we making sure that we are staying true to us as a team, and we're making sure everybody's concerns are heard when we're using a new tool like this? And the last one, which other motivations do we need to better understand? Well, I think one of the motivations is, how does this change homework? Or why do students feel the need to cheat in the first place on their homework? And so we can look at this through an inclusion lens. You know, I'm very interested in looking at Chat GPT. As somebody with dyslexia, I've already used it so much. It is such a great tool for me. That is an inclusion tool for me in the classroom. So many great ways to use it. But that would be my structure. Read something together, then have a conversation around this protocol with a lens on inclusion. How'd I do, Trisha?
You went 5 seconds over, but we'll allow it. We'll allow it. I like this though, Jeff, and I'm seeing, again, this this timer element, this could be a really fun way to set this up with your team
Yeah.
to explore because, as you were talking, you and I love the routine social silent reading.
Yes.
I could see pairing this protocol with that article. And, I think that's another really interesting inclusive way to use protocols is let folks take their time in processing their
Yeah.
response, right?
I
Let
love
them
it.
actually review what a few others have shared before they chime in. So, these protocols, we're hoping that they are useful to you and your team. And Jeff and I are already hearing back from a few schools saying, you know what, we love these protocols, but we would love them to be even more personalized for our context. The images that you are seeing in the free guide, there are shifting schools colors. Would you like the protocols done up in your school colors? Would you like it to match the font that you use in all of your school literature? Do you want to replace the Shifting Schools logo with your school logo? We are putting together bespoke protocol collections for different schools. The caveat being, we do need to hear from you by the end of this month, by January 31st, if you would like to set up that call and us to set up the fee structure that would work, the level of customization, all of those different decisions. You can reach Jeff and I at info@shiftingschools.com. If you would like to take this year's collection of protocols or last year's or even 2021, and you want to build a brand new toolkit, some prompts that do help teams, if you want that to be bespoke for your school, reach out again, please, before the end of this month. You can reach us info@shiftingschools.com. Jeff, always a pleasure to chat with you.
Always a pleasure to chat with you. Again, shiftingschools.com. You will find more information over there. All kinds of free guides. If you have not been over there and looked at the free guides that Trisha has been creating for the last 3 years, I can't believe it's been 3 years, Trisha. Make sure you check those out. There's all kinds of great ones, including this new one, fresh, brand new protocols for 2023. Thank you once again to our sponsors, Mac and Maker and STEM Sports. Please do, if you're a podcast listener, head over to any podcast app, do a search for Shifting Schools, and check out our mini series right now on STEM and makerspaces. We're having a fun time over there just talking about makerspaces and STEM education. So hopefully you can join us over there in the podcast. Hopefully you're able to download and use these. And if you do, please do reach out to us at info@shiftingschools.com. Tell us how you used this 90 seconds and these protocols with your students, with your staff, with your colleagues. So thank you so much for joining us today. From myself and Trisha and everyone here at Shifting Schools, thanks so much. And until next time, we'll see you on the network.